Joining us now is counterterrorism expert Colin Clark, research director at the Soufan Group. Thank you so much for being with us, Colin. The Islamic State's exact role in this New Orleans attack is not clear at all. But Jabbar stated that he had joined ISIS before the summer. He provided a will, a testament. He posted it online. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells me a few things. It tells me that this is someone that radicalized, likely by viewing and imbibing Islamic State propaganda. The big question for me is, was this ISIS-inspired, meaning he viewed the propaganda, decided to conduct this attack on its own to glorify the Islamic State, or was he actually in touch with a member of ISIS, what we kind of call cyber coaching or virtual entrepreneur, where they helped him select the target, select the tactics and such? We'll likely learn that in the coming days.
Is there any way to determine what might have influenced him?
Well, I think, as usual with these cases, there's a basket of factors. There's personal pressures or triggers, whether that's divorce, financial issues. But it's clear that he, radicalized, posting a bayat video or a swearing of allegiance to the Islamic State is a pretty serious thing, and then conducting such a deadly attack in its name. So we'll have to see the digital forensics once his devices have been sifted through. What platforms was he going on? What kind of propaganda was he actually following? And what pushed him over the edge here? Now,
how does this attack compare with what we saw in Germany on the Christmas attack, or what we saw in Nice some years back in terms of car attacks, and also the Times Square attack, using the vehicle, but also having explosive devices, at least 2 that were operational, we know, and the gun, and getting out and shooting at the police?
Exactly. So multiple layers of redundancy built in here. He had the vehicle, he had the weapon, he had improvised explosive devices. This is straight out of the Islamic State's playbook in terms of a vehicle ramming attack. You mentioned Nice. There's also been the Berlin Christmas market in 2016, Islamic State-inspired attacks in Stockholm, New York City, Barcelona, and London. So this is, again, classic IS designed to maximize casualties. And with the additional elements of the rifle and the IEDs, it's clear that he was trying to maximize the body count here. This is likely the most deadly ISIS-inspired attack on U.S. soil since the Pulse nightclub attack in June 2016.
And how does this fit into the pattern, I should say, of car-based attacks by jihadists here in the U.S.?
Yeah, there was another case in Columbus on Ohio State's campus. This is a low-tech, opportunistic, and very easy type of attack to conduct. It's also nearly impossible to stop, even as we harden soft targets, put up steel ballers and the like. We still live in a free and open society. It's impossible to protect every large gathering from some deranged individual that wants to do harm in this manner, unfortunately.
Do you think that there is a greater risk now because of Syria breaking up, dispersing whatever remnants of ISIS might be, or whether there's a chance of ISIS actually resurging if there's a withdrawal of U.S. forces, and if, for instance, Erdogan of Turkey attacks the Syrian Kurds who are guarding the ISIS prisoners right now?
I do. In fact, I had a piece about this just last week in the Times in the UK, warning about an ISIS resurgence and how Syria could provide the group with the momentum that it's long sought to kind of spill back onto the headlines, whether that's ISIS-K in Afghanistan, ISIS-Core, ISIS-Central in Syria and parts of Iraq, and again, the homegrown violent extremists that live in the West that ISIS is attempting to push over the edge to conduct the types of attack that we saw in New Orleans.
Do you consider this an intelligence failure on the part of the U.S.? From my experience, there's been plenty of warning at the threat testimonies from all the intelligence officials and the FBI about the domestic and foreign threats.
I tend to be careful and really reserve that term intelligence failure for a select few cases. Again, we can't get into the minds of every individual that's radicalized. There's many individuals that are radicalized that actually never move forth to acts of violence. So I think it's a bit too early to point fingers and play the blame game. Certainly, we could talk about the lack of steel bollards or the lack of, a hardened target, with the New Orleans New Year's Day celebration or New Year's Eve celebration, always a very high target on the list. So there'll be some Monday morning quarterbacking when it comes to that. I think for now, we need to figure out, how to prevent the next attack instead of focusing on this one. That'll come in time, though.